What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be taking a look at something that I got sent in the mail, and that is the ASUS Zen Wi-Fi XD5. Now in this video we're just going to really be unboxing it. If I have enough time I might try an initial setup, but for the purposes of this video we're just going to take a look at what's in the box, kind of what to expect, and a little bit of just an overview of what this device is supposed to do. Now, full disclosure, I was sent this by ASUS. I do have an outline of features that should be covered, so just letting you know ahead of time, I was provided this to make a video on, but don't take that to mean that I'm not going to give my actual opinion on this once we get it up and going. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just get this out of the box and take a look at what we're working with. Alright, and right away, very nice box. Look at that, like the rainbow. But anyways, I'll try not to get too distracted here. So, we got the ASUS Zen Wi-Fi XD5. It is an AX3000 dual band mesh Wi-Fi 6 system. Just looking over the notes here, it looks like there's 3 nodes. One of them functions like the router, and the other 2 are mesh wireless. And apparently it can do up to 3 gigabits on wireless with the 160 megahertz Wi-Fi 6 channels. I'll do some speed tests and see exactly how fast we can get, but I don't really have anything on my current network that'll go up to 3 gigabits, so we may be leaving some performance on the table here. But it does say that it covers up to 5,000 square feet, and this house that I am currently in is only about 1,500, so this should cover my entire house just fine without any issues. And we'll just take a look at the back here. Yeah, 160 megahertz channel. We've got a space-saving, great design. I am curious to see exactly how big these things are. They do look pretty compact on the box. Now, I did read in my notes that I got a 3-step setup. The setup does look very simple, so I am actually pretty excited to try that out. And also, looks like there's a few, I wouldn't say they're advanced security features, but it looks like you can enable like Family Shield and kind of make it a little bit family friendly, which is something that I've done in a couple of my past videos using an edge router and a Pi-hole. So if this works as expected, then this will be pretty much a plug and play solution to do almost that same thing. But we'll just have to see. So let's go ahead and get the hardware out of the box here. Alright, and here we go. We've got these nice little nodes here, and the power bricks for all of them. And these do actually, I mean, in my opinion, look pretty cool. We got a nice gold logo, and it looks like we've got the 2 ports on the back. So we've got a WAN LAN and a regular LAN port. Now, do all of these have that? Yeah, they do. So I think when you configure these, one of them is like the brain, the main router node, and the other 2 are just mesh, but it looks like it really doesn't matter which one you choose to be the main router, because it looks like they all have the exact same capability. So I believe it's just whichever one you configure first, which is kind of cool. Would have been cooler if some of them were powered via PoE, but I kind of can understand why you can't power these with PoE. But anyways, I'll just go ahead and remove the plastic from all of them. And we can go ahead and take a look at the included documentation. So this looks like it's just telling you to update your wireless adapter drivers if you experience issues. So yeah, that really has nothing to do with these at all. You got your typical call the manufacturer instead of the reseller thing, and our app setup instructions. So here we've got the QR codes, which we'll scan in just a second and start getting the ball rolling on getting these set up. It doesn't look like there's really another option for setup, so I think mobile app is the only way we can actually get these going. And then we've got our quick start guide here, which is basically a poster. Alright, so we got to set everything within 3 meters of each other. Keep them powered on and standby, and then you launch the mobile app, it looks like. What I read is that these are all like synced with each other out of the box, so there's really nothing you have to do to discover the other nodes during setup, which makes me a little bit curious if you can expand this at all. If you can actually buy a second set and add them to this, because if they're all like synced out of the box and kind of tied to each other, I'm a little curious how you're gonna expand the network if you need to in the future. So there's not really much more than this. I'm just gonna plug these up and kind of get trucking on the setup, I guess. We'll just make sure that they all have power, and then I'll go, once it's all set up, I'll take a couple of these around my house and then kind of see what the coverage is like, and then poke around in the user interface a little bit. And just kind of while I'm doing this, I'm just gonna bring up a little something. This kind of equipment is not really typical for this channel at all. If you look at my other videos, I've done a lot of Unify, and I've been starting to get into the TP-Link, small business, kind of semi-enterprise type stuff. This really doesn't fit in any of those categories. We're not going to be doing VLANs, setting up firewalls, and doing anything that you could classify as advanced here. This is obviously just looking at all of the documentation and the device itself. It's obvious that this is made to be a plug-and-play solution. You put it in, you get it up and running really fast, and I imagine that once we get into the interface that it's going to be pretty intuitive and we're not really going to have a lot of options, but I am curious to see how well it does some of these more advanced features. Like, I have seen VPNs in the documentation here. I've seen the family shield and stuff like that. So I am curious how it implements that super easy, but this really isn't something, if you're looking for like a small business network or something enthusiast grade that you're going to want to mess around with and poke at and learn networking concepts. I can already say that I don't recommend it for that. But for ease of use, that may be a completely different story, and performance-wise, that may also be a completely different story, but we'll just have to find out. All right, and I've got all three of them plugged in here. If I shut the light off, I can see they all three have blue lights. They did cycle between green and then eventually went blue. But we should be good to set them up now, so I'm going to go ahead and get out one of my old phones. This is actually the day after I started recording this video, because I ended up having no phones that were charged besides the one I'm actually recording this video with. So hopefully this old iPhone 6 keeps charged long enough to actually set this up. So what we're going to do, we're just going to take the setup instructions. We're going to scan this QR code and download the app here real quick. So take a look at the QR code, download an app store. Go ahead and get ASUS router app. All right, and it looks like it's totally downloaded, so I'm going to go ahead and launch that app. And yeah, sure, you can send me alerts, I guess. But here we go. Looks like we got two options: set up a new network or manage a connected router. So this is brand new. We're going to click setup, and we're going to choose the device we want. We've got the ASUS Zen Wi-Fi series. Go ahead and click on that. And now it wants us to select our exact model. So we've got the Zen Wi-Fi XD5, which is all the way down at the bottom here. And it says we can scan the QR code on our router. So it seems like it'll probably be the easiest option, but it does also look like we can do a manual Wi-Fi connection. But let's go ahead and launch the camera, flip one of these over. There is our QR code. Go ahead and scan that. And it asks if we want to join the wireless network, ASUS BOXD5, or I guess that's B0. So that's pretty much just an automatic way to select the device's built-in wireless setup network. If we selected manual, all we would have had to do is go into our phone's wireless settings, look for that ASUS network, and connect to it. But scanning the QR code is just the quick way to do it. And right now it is searching for the ASUS router. And it looks like it's detecting the internet connection status, which is going to fail because I haven't plugged any of these three into any type of wired connection. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. It does help if you want to use this for the internet, if you actually connect it to the internet. So, all right, so I'm just going to connect the WAN LAN port, that's the blue one here, to this cable. Probably could have grabbed another cable. It's kind of confusing when you got the yellow cable going to not the yellow port. So this is just going to my desktop switch here on my desk. This is going to simulate our WAN connection. This isn't actually connected straight to my modem, but we are just going to pretend like it is for the purposes of this video. And you can see the app failed. It says connect your router, use an Ethernet cable to connect your modem to your router's WAN port. And now it's saying to power cycle your modem because it couldn't detect it. And now you're wanting to set up the nodes. Let's go back. I think, is there a way to just, no, maybe this is just the steps. It's not actually detecting anything. So I guess we'll just continue the setup here. So it says set up the node, place your Wi-Fi router and the nodes in the same room and test at least 1 meter apart. I would say they are less than a meter apart. And they are powered on. And it says that the node will automatically connect to your router. So let's go ahead and click next. There, now we have the retry button. So let's go ahead, retry. This time it should connect an internet connection since we actually have it connected to the network this time. Yep, and there we go. Now it's asking us to create our wireless network. So what I'm going to do, if you don't have a wireless network already set up in your house, just give it whatever name you want it to have and whatever password you want it to have. For me, I'm actually going to duplicate my own wireless settings here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because if the SSID and the password are the same, existing devices that already have that configuration will automatically connect. So my plan here is to duplicate my wireless settings, go actually turn my wireless off, and then just run off of these. And every device that was already connected to my existing wireless network should automatically connect to these and start using them. And that way I can actually get a good test, see if there's anything wonky about it, make sure the coverage is all good, and actually give these a proper review. So I'm going to put in my wireless network name here, which is December Illini, and my Wi-Fi network password, which you do not need to see. And then we have the option to separate 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. That, at this point in time, I honestly don't know why you would ever do that, but that is still an option on just about every wireless device. So let's go ahead and click next. And now it wants us to log in to an ASUS account. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I typically don't like using cloud accounts for stuff. I usually set up a local administrator. But I do not see an option to skip here, so we'll go ahead and create us a username of Toasty Answers and give this a password that you also don't need to know. And now we are setting up our network. And I'm just going to put the phone down here, and I'm going to turn the light off and see if we actually get any LED action here. And it looks like the one that we actually plugged our internet connection into is white instead of blue. And also turning off that light makes me realize I need to clean that camera lens. Holy crap. All right, that's a little bit better. That iPhone doesn't look like just a big balloon. In the 10 seconds it took me to do that, we've got white light on our main router. It looks like this one is flashing green now, and this one is still solid green. So we've changed from blue to green. And right now it's moved to network optimization. It says that the nodes are joining the network. Please check your iPhone is currently connected to the Zen Wi-Fi XD5. I am just going to assume that it is. These two are going crazy back here with the blue LEDs. I guess that means that they're joining the network or optimizing or whatever. So let's go ahead and leave this, see how long it takes to do what it's doing. And while we're waiting here, I just kind of wanted to take a minute and go over the new-ish format of this video. Typically, I break these product videos out into like 2 or 3 separate videos. One is just the unboxing and looking at it. The other one is like actually a step-to-step how to set it up. And then the third is kind of a review of how it actually works. I'm kind of taking a little bit different approach with this video because I'm actually going in and trying this setup. I have not set these up before. I've never even owned an ASUS networking product. So all of this is brand new. I am going through this in real time. I have no prior experience setting these up. So what you're seeing is step-by-step me learning along the way as well. And let me know in the comments down below if that's something that is better than me just walking through something I've already done before, or if you prefer it better like this. I probably will still break out the review into a separate video because it's going to take me a little bit to actually use these on the daily and figure out how well I like them. But this one is just a little bit different because I'm doing the unboxing and the initial setup of me fumbling my way through it all at the same time. And as I say that, this one has turned to yellow. So whatever that means, I guess I should probably break out the instructions and see what the LED status actually stands for. Okay, and here we go. In the actual setup poster is what I'm going to call it. We have all of our LED indicator descriptions. So solid blue, it's ready to use. Solid yellow, it says the signal between the XD5 router and the node is weak. Not sure how that can be weak, but apparently it is. Solid white is online and works well, and solid red, it says that you have no internet connection, or the node is disconnected from the router. All right, and it's probably been about 5 minutes, I'd say. So let's go ahead and take a look at this app, see what it's telling us. Says our network is operating perfectly. And, oh, actually, look, it says LED guide right there. So it says that our wireless network's working perfectly. However, we have one that does have a flashing blue light, says it's still syncing with the router. And our other one says that the connection is weak. So maybe it needs like direct line of sight here. Maybe if we rearrange them, we'll get rid of that yellow light. So basically what I'm getting from the LED indicators is if it's white, it's great. If it's blue, then it's ready for setup. But if it's flashing blue, it's still syncing, so it's still in the process of setting up. Red is bad, obviously, and yellow is weak signal. So obviously we haven't really connected these to see how they're performing right now, but just straight out of the box, we got one that seems to not be able to sync with the router that is right next to it, and the other one that says its signal is weak even though it's on the same table. So let's go ahead and click finish and see what else is in store for us with this application. Wow, well that was interesting. I like how it pops up your account username and password as well as the wireless username and password right there at the very end, and then just kind of automatically goes away. I don't know why you would just display, especially your account username and password, just all in plain text like that. That's a little interesting, so sorry for the blur there. Let's see, right now it says unable to use remote connection, so let's go ahead and see what we got going on here. We might still be on the old wireless connections. Let's go ahead and switch back. All right, so we are connected to December Illini. Now, reason for this might be that I'm still connected to my actual access points. So just because I'm connected to my December Illini network does not mean that I'm actually connected to these. But at the same time, I still should be able to remotely manage them no matter which one I'm on. But for completion's sake, I'm going to go ahead and disable my wireless network, so I will be right back. Okay, so I've disabled my own wireless access points, or if they're not completely disabled, they're in the process of turning off. And it actually looks like we have a full signal on this one now, so there was probably some interference because literally there's an access point like right there off camera. But this one still seems to be syncing with everything, so maybe that will fix itself by the time we're done. And if we open our app back up, okay, we actually see that we are connected. We get this notice. Yeah, sure, we'll agree. Looks like our LAN IP. Oh my goodness, all right, what else we got? Enable remote connection. Sure, yeah, accept. Wow, there is a lot of legal stuff you gotta click on here. All right, applying settings, remote connection is success. So it looks like our LAN IP is 192.168.50.1 for our main router over there. And we can see our network name, CPU and RAM, and our connected clients. So look, we already got 14 connected clients. That's because I used the name of my old wireless network. So it should be all of the same devices connecting to these things. And these are all of the devices. So I've got like my smart lights, my phone, my laptop, etc., etc. And then it says home. Okay, so I guess these are the different ones. So I've got an Xbox One connected to one of the other ones. So there's 3 that are called home. I'm assuming we can rename those. And if we go to AI Mesh, yeah, okay, we've got these that we can select, and I assume rename. We can change their location. Okay, so I'm going to change this first one just real quick to the office. So that's where I'm going to keep it. This second one, if it ever syncs, I'm probably going to change that to kitchen. So let's just see if we can go ahead and change it. Yeah, kitchen, we'll place one up there. And then our last one will go to the living room. Now let's see what we have for insights. So it looks like we've got easy Wi-Fi sharing. We can actually do a QR code or just share our login information. Register the product if you want. Security insight, AI protection, secures your network from malicious attacks. That seems pretty cool. Let's turn that on. We got more legal stuff to accept. And now we have malicious website blocking and infected device prevention and blocking enabled. And it also tells us that our admin password is very weak because, yeah, I used a very weak password for that. See what else we got in here. Theme has a little yellow thing. Oh, we can change what it looks like. Neat. Let's go techno blue. Okay, don't think that increases the performance, but I guess that looks pretty cool though. What else we got here? Real-time traffic, 2 megabytes. No, 10 megabits. not bytes. Network name, yep, CPU RAM, looks like this is all the same stuff. So overall, this dashboard is pretty cool, pretty cool. What do we got here? AI mesh, nope, shows us our network topology here. We got our internet connection connected to this guy. This guy's still trying to sync, and that one. Let's see if just unplugging and replugging this will do anything, because it's been, oh, how long have I been working on this video? About 30 minutes, so it's probably been 15, 20 minutes since we started that setup. So green means booting. We'll wait on that. See what this button does. No, it just shows us our, oh, that was what we were on before. All right, let's take a look at this family tab. This was something that I saw in kind of the setup notes that I was really interested in. So it says add profiles to manage internet activity, selecting an age level, time, blah, blah, blah. Looks like we can schedule internet downtime or change schedules for different family members. That's pretty cool. So see, what about preschooler? We got one of those in the house. So we'll call this Rugrat 1. Next. Oh, and we get to select which device is theirs. All right, my phone actually filled up its internal storage with that video, so I had to switch cameras here for a bit. But I guess the good news is I can actually use my newer phone to speed test these once we get to that point. Also, side note, middle one still has not connected to the router. It did just do a reboot. I was messing around with a few of the settings in the app, and I changed it to manually point to this one, which I'll show you in just a second, but it looks like that really didn't do anything. So we're still only using 2 of the 3. So let's just kind of continue where we left off, where we were taking a look at the family features here. We were going to add a preschooler named Rugrat, I believe. And then we get to select their device. Now I'm just going to go ahead and select Blueberry Pancake, wherever that is. There we go. That is the name of my laptop. So we can go ahead and do some testing on that. So here right off the bat, we can set up a schedule for every day if we want it from 8 o'clock to 8 in the morning. I believe that is the downtime schedule. Yeah, offline schedule we can add or delete. And if we click that button, it looks like we just get a cool kind of diagram of the days of the week. I was kind of hoping there was a little more here. Maybe the feature that I'm thinking of that I was excited about is located somewhere else. But if we hit done, it's just going to apply those settings. Oh, and here we go. That's pretty cool. We got a one-handed block here. Do you want to limit this device's internet access? Yes. Apply settings. And now it is blocked. And if I go over to my laptop, I will not be able to get to anything. So I'll go ahead and unblock that. Also, side note, if you're wondering why I'm still pointing a camera at a phone, it's because since we set this up in router mode, I'm not able to mirror the screen to my computer. That's kind of the issue that I hit in a lot of these videos. However, I did look in the manual, and you can set these up in access point mode. And if you're not sure what that means, that's basically you're not using this as your main router. So you've already got some other kind of router. Like me personally, I'm using a Ubiquiti Edge router. Instead of using these as a router mode and creating a whole new network for themselves, you can just extend your current network using access point mode. Haven't looked on how to actually set that up yet, but I did see that that is a feature that it can do in the little pamphlet thing. And actually, kind of going along with that, another thing I saw in the pamphlet was that you can do a wired backhaul mode. Basically, you just daisy chain these together from the WAN LAN port to WAN LAN, etc., etc., if you don't want to have the actual wireless mesh. Now, personally, I think the wireless mesh is probably the bread and butter of this, but it looks like you do have that option to have it as more of a traditional access point configuration instead of a wireless meshing system. And I'm just going to go into the settings and find AI mesh device just to see if I can find this one over here that seems to be having trouble connecting. In the pamphlet that I was looking at, their troubleshooting section basically just says make sure that it's within 3 meters and it's powered on. So that didn't really help me any. We've already rebooted the device, unplugged it, plugged it back in. It's still searching, and I'm not able to see it here in the manually add device section. So the more and more time goes on, I'm getting a little concerned if that one's ever going to set itself up. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep looking through these settings. So QoS, that's something that interests me. See, internet speed. This just looks like a normal speed test. So let's go ahead and test the speed here. And yeah, that's about the speed that I would expect to have. So, is that the only option under here? I'm in the QoS settings, but all I see is a speed test. Doesn't really have anything to do with QoS itself, so I'm a little confused there. Let's go back. Parental controls. Ooh, we can block all the devices. Time scheduling, that just looks like the exact same stuff we were looking at earlier. AI protection. All right, looks like we can scan. We still have 0 website blocking and device prevention and blocking, but what if we do a scan? I wonder exactly what it is that it's scanning here. But it just comes back saying that the security level is high, so that's good. Okay, there's actually a list down here. We got little warnings because there's web access from WAN, and UPnP service, I guess, is enabled on this device. But everything else, it's got the check marks. WPS is, I guess, still enabled because I'm pretty sure that's a default on these. So we get a little bit of warning about that, but our overall security level is still high. So I guess that's kind of a real quick way you can just kind of look and see if there's any major issues going on with your network if you want it to really be secure. That's kind of a quick glance. Not super in-depth, but at least it's something. Let's see, under the LAN settings, we can change IP binding. Which actually, I bet this, yeah. So this is basically DHCP reservations. So if we select a device, we can bind an IP address to that device and make a reservation. So that's always a cool feature to have. We'll just go ahead and see what else we got. What are our Wi-Fi settings here? We can share our Wi-Fi. We can go into our wireless settings. We don't have a guest network, I don't think. Yep, none of them, but we can enable them there if we want. Network settings, what do we got here? So this is where you would come if you want to do any really changes to your wireless network settings, like change the SSID, the encryption type, the network key. We can completely disable or enable the 5 gigahertz or 2.4 gigahertz independently. And we can also down here, we can enable DFS channel. If you're familiar with Unify, there are channels kind of in the middle of the 5 gigahertz spectrum that are called DFS channels. They're used for official communications, radar, and stuff like that. So if those channels are not used in your area, or they're actually allowed to be used in your area, that's something you can do to kind of reduce interference. Personally, I usually avoid using DFS channels, but it can increase performance and cut down on interference if you're in an area that does not have anything around you that are using DFS channels. And for 5 gigahertz, we can also enable or disable the 160 megahertz bandwidth, which is the, I'm going to call it the super speed setting. That is, if you're buying this for the speed and what's on the box, you're going to want to keep that enabled. Then we get the deny list. I'm sure that's just a MAC filter list. And then eco mode decreases Wi-Fi power and data rate to save on power usage. Okay, honestly, I doubt these things really pull enough juice to make a difference. But I guess if you really want to save power, you can turn that on. My assumption, again, I don't know for sure, but my assumption is that it probably just makes the radio signals weaker, so it uses less power. And I'm guessing that your speeds will probably suffer, and so will your coverage range. And the rest of this, I'm just really not going to go into, but a couple that I would just like to point out. If you want to port forward, that's under the WAN settings, port forwarding. And then you can just go ahead and either select a device or manually set it. I do like devices that just let you select the device out of the ARP or DHCP table. So that just makes things a little bit easier if you're wanting to port forward. Firmware upgrade, obviously that's something you're probably going to want to do first. I have not done that yet on these. And this connect with Google and Alexa it seems pretty cool, but I don't really know what voice commands I would use to control my router. Like I really don't know what that would be used for, but it is, I guess, cool that you can connect it with those. The last thing, which is, at least for my purposes, probably one of the most important, that's going to be under System Settings and Operation Mode. And you can see that we have Router Mode turned on. So this is what I was talking about earlier, where one of these, this one in particular, is functioning as your main internet router. The purpose of it is to connect directly to your modem and use it as your main device. Now, if you're like me and you already have a router and network devices set up everywhere, you might just want to use access point mode. So this is where you change that. And if we change over to access point mode and apply, I don't think this is readable on the camera, but it says changing operation mode of the router will cause all connected devices to lose connectivity, and it'll take around 3 minutes. All devices will be reconnected again while the setting is completed. Are you sure you want to continue? And the reason it's saying that is because it's converting it from basically its own network. Everything on these right now have a 192.168.50. Whatever address, and this guy is routing everything. There's basically a firewall, NAT, all of that. This is the gateway out, even though it's connected to my own local area network. So by changing this to access point mode, we're going to get rid of all the routing on this guy. He's no longer going to be doing that, and the IPs we're going to receive on our devices will be straight from whatever other network device we have set up on our network. So if you do just see this setting and you're like, oh yeah, access point mode, that sounds pretty cool, make sure you have other devices taking care of these features first. You need a router and a DHCP server at a minimum. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue. That's going to basically shut everything down while it transitions from router mode to access point mode. And then once this comes back up, when I connect, I should see a different IP address. And what I'm really curious to see is which of these features we're still able to do without router mode, because usually a lot of the firewall-esque or security features are done at a layer 3 boundary. And that basically just means they're done on a router. And if these are no longer functioning as their own network and their own router, then I'm kind of curious to know if security features like that still work on them. But once these are done rebooting, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that for just a second, and then I'll do a quick speed test, throw these around the house, and we'll call this end of the day for part 1. My next video on these is going to be basically after I've used them for a little bit, kind of my thoughts on it, and I should have some good speed test information. I will be running iPerf on these, gathering really how fast they're going to go, both wireless to wired and wireless to wireless. But as we all know, numbers aren't everything. To me, devices are really only as good as their reliability. So if I throw these in and I start using them on the daily and I have all kinds of just random issues, then to me, that's not worth it, even if they can do like 6 million gigabits when they're actually working. Okay, and I just got the notification that everything was done and to reconnect to Wi-Fi. So if I go back to our wireless, December Illini, let's go ahead and reconnect to that and then open that app back up and see what we can find out. Okay, and we are now back in the app, which says that we don't have any connection and our link type is unknown. But we do still have apparently client devices, and it looks like we have quite a bit more as well. So I do see that we've got some IPs. All of these are correct for our local area network, at least mine. And you can see I even have a Ubiquiti device on here. So this all looks right. And if we do insights, looks like all the same features are here, except for we do not have a slider for the security insight AI protection, which was kind of what I was expecting since we're in access point mode and we don't have all traffic filtering through a router boundary. And if we go to our family or parental controls menu, you can also see that this feature cannot be supported by the current router operation mode, again, because we're in access point mode. And I bet if we go to settings, oh, actually our settings menu is quite a bit smaller. It doesn't even look like we have the Alexa or Google integration either. And we most certainly don't have any of the AI security stuff. So none of that is really a surprise to me because access points really don't have that capability. You need some kind of a router or firewall device in order to really do advanced stuff like that. But that is something to keep in mind if you get this and you want to use them just as access points. A lot of the stuff on the box and in the pamphlet that is really its selling point, you're not going to be able to do unless you're using it in routed mode, which is really the purpose of these. Like, I think these are meant to be a full home network, just easy setup. Router to modem, 2 wireless mesh access points, full home coverage, easy setup with a cool looking app, change basic settings here or there, that's it. I think these are going to work pretty well in that sense, unless they are unreliable in the hardware sense, which I won't be able to tell until I've used these for a while. Right now, my main complaint is this one, just never connecting. I still don't know why or what it's doing, but it will not join the mesh. So at this point, I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them around my house. This one's going to stay in here in my office. This one, I guess, is going upstairs to the kitchen. This one was going to go to the living room, but if it's never going to connect, then it's going to be useless. So I'll go ahead, throw those around. I think what I'm going to do is set this back to routed mode. It's going to kind of suck because a lot of my wireless devices are right now remotely accessible, and they won't be unless I do port forwarding and a whole bunch of other stuff. But I think really to figure out if these are going to be good or not, I really do need to use them in routed mode to get all those features. But that's what I'm going to do right now. And once they're all set up around the house, I'm going to come back, do some speed tests, and then create a part 2 video, which is kind of how things have been going. So I think this video has gone on for well long enough. I'm pretty sure obviously I haven't edited it yet, but I've been recording for the past hour and a half. So I'm sure this is going to be a long one. I apologize for that, but I just kind of wanted to fumble my way through this and kind of just show you my first impressions and me just trying to figure it out from unboxing to getting it going. So again, if you kind of like this format or don't like this format, leave it in the comments down below. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something about these just going through this, and also, as always, happy networking.